His daughters, now saddled with a strange pregnancy, watched as their bellies grew at a very horrifying rate. They wondered what it could mean and had no one to talk to about the pregnancy. Heeding to their father's instructions, the triplets remained in the forest, refusing to go into the village as their father warned them to stay away from the villagers. Once upon a time, there lived three virgin sisters who woke up one morning to realize that they were heavily pregnant. They were triplets, and their father was a great juju man who kept the people in bondage for years. His name was Ikuku, and he was a very powerful man. He cursed the entire village with sadness, making it impossible for the people to laugh or smile. Even the young children in the village wore a terrifying frown on their faces, as all they have ever known was the life of sadness and misery, a life they were unfortunately born into after the curse. All they heard were tales of the happy days and hoped to experience the joy that their fathers had once enjoyed. However, following the death of Ikuku, the people could not see how this was possible, as Ikuku died without reversing the curse that he placed on the entire village. His daughters, now saddled with a strange pregnancy, watched as their bellies grew at a very horrifying rate. They wondered what it could mean and had no one to talk to about the pregnancy. Heeding to their father's instructions, the triplets remained in the forest, refusing to go into the village as their father warned them to stay away from the villagers. Everyone in the village was terrified of them because of how powerful their father was. What was more shocking was the fact that their father Ikuku never got married or had anything to do with any woman in the village. The villagers woke up one morning to realize that he had three babies who he took care of till his demise. No one ever got to know who their mother was, and many even rumored that the triplets were not humans but spirits that decided to come live among humans. The truth, however, remained unknown as the villagers monitored the triplets from a distance, fearing what would happen to them if they ever went closer. One day, the entire village gathered as they sought a solution to the curse of sadness that plagued their lives. They pondered on how they could break the curse, and one of the villagers suggested that the death of the triplets could lead to their liberation. After all, it was their wicked father who placed the curse on them, so the people laid out a plan to capture the triplets that night to kill them. When night came, the villagers set out to the forest to actualize their plan. On reaching the triplets' hut, they realized that the triplets were nowhere to be found. They searched the entire forest but couldn't find them, and this angered the villagers greatly as they decided to burn down the entire forest, believing that doing so would kill the triplets wherever they were hiding. They watched as the forest went up in flames, hoping that their joy would be restored, but still nothing happened. Days passed, but the people, instead of regaining their joy, became even more sad. Their children began to fight each other, and the men's hearts were filled with so much bitterness and hatred for each other. In this moment, the people began to doubt that the triplets were dead. They consulted their gods and were told that the triplets were still alive. Unsure of where they were, they began to search the entire village for them. They agreed that anyone who would be able to capture the triplets would be greatly rewarded by the king, and the people doubled their search, hoping not only to capture the triplets but to be also rewarded by the king. Days passed, but no one found the triplets. A girl named Chikaima approached the villagers to reveal that the triplets had sought refuge in the neighboring village. She narrated how she saw the triplets that afternoon being protected by the people of the neighboring village and the villagers, on hearing this, decided to invade the neighboring village. They were hell-bent on finding the triplets and were willing to go to any length to capture them. They arrived in the neighboring village and were met with a group of fierce-looking men who did not seem too pleased to see them in their village. What had happened was that when the people set the forest ablaze, the fire not only engulfed their forest but also encroached into the sacred forest of the neighboring village, the forest where they buried their past kings, and the people were so enraged and vowed to make them pay for destroying their sacred bushes. So, for days, the people of the neighboring village held them hostage and subjected them to extreme torture. They cried out for help as the suffering was becoming unbearable. Weeks passed and the people languished in pain. They pleaded with the people of the neighboring village to have mercy on them, but their pleas fell on deaf ears till one very morning, when they woke up to realize that they were no longer in the neighboring village. They had mysteriously returned to their village and wondered how this was possible. To their amazement, they saw the triplets, who stood before them engulfed in a very bright light. As the light hit their skin, the people felt their joy return and could not believe that the curse had now been broken. All this while, the triplets were hidden away in the village by Chikaima, the same girl who told the villagers that she saw the triplets in the neighboring village. What had happened was that Chikaima had a dream where Ikuku appeared to her and pleaded with her to protect the triplets. He told her that the safety of the triplets would guarantee the villagers' freedom from the curse. He revealed to her that the triplets were not pregnant with child, but with the power to liberate the people from their curse. He said that he gave the triplets the power to set the people free because doing so required the purity of 3 virgins. He told Chikaima that he woke up one morning to find the triplets laying at his doorstep. He was so shocked as he wondered who could have dropped the babies there, considering the fact that everyone feared him greatly. After several consultations with the oracle, he was told that the mother of the babies was a poor widow who was accused of killing her husband and put to death by the entire village. In her final moments, she ensured that she left her babies in safe hands as she dropped them at the doorstep of Ikuku, who she knew would protect them from any harm. Ikuku, filled with bitterness and sorrow for the unjust death of the innocent widow, decided to curse the village with sadness for their cruel act towards the poor widow who they killed unjustly. Ikuku could see how most of the villagers knew the truth but decided to turn a blind eye because of greed and all they had been promised by the widow's brother-in-law who took over all of her husband's wealth. Ikuku ensured that the people suffered for their wrongs. However, before his death, he left the antidote to the curse in the bellies of the triplets, hoping that one day the people will feel remorseful for all the terrible things that they had done, as only then would the curse be broken and the villagers be set free. So Ikuku, on seeing how serious the villagers were to kill the triplets, appeared to Chikaima in the dream, pleading with her to ensure that she hides the triplets away from the villagers. He then told her to tell the villagers that she saw the triplets in the neighboring village, so as to push them to troop into the neighboring village because he knew how bitter the people were with them and was sure that they would teach them a lesson for burning their sacred bush. Chikaima did as she was instructed and led the villagers to the neighboring village. Ikuku knew that if he didn't do so, the people would be so full of anger when they find the triplets and will kill them the same way they killed their mother. He wanted the people to be in bondage for a while to make it possible for the triplets to rescue them and save their lives. In this way, the villagers would be indebted to the triplets and would find it difficult to harm them. Once the triplets came in contact with the villagers, they noticed the genuine remorse of the people who were so grateful to them for saving their lives. Immediately, their pregnant bellies began to glow and the villagers, noticed that their joy had returned, a joy that they had not felt in a very long time. As their joy returned, so did the triplets' pregnant bellies disappear as the people all opened their mouths in shock. The villagers regretted the role that they played in the death of the triplets' mother and apologized to the triplets for all the harm that they had caused them. However, not everyone received their joy back, as the triplets' wicked uncle, who took over all of their father's properties, refused to apologize and repent of his wickedness. Despite being rich, he remained a sad man all his life and lived a life of regret, filled with bitterness and sadness, as no one in the village agreed to be associated with him. The lesson to be learned from this story is that pride comes before the fall. Do not let pride rid you of your chances of happiness in life, as oftentimes a sincere apology is all it takes to be free from the bondage that has kept you bound. The story also teaches us that greed can lead to long-lasting negative consequences and that true happiness cannot be achieved through unjust means. Last but not least, help can come from unexpected sources, so we should learn to be open-minded and receptive of others without discrimination. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.